Blue Lock Chapter 323 has just released. The Nigeria match is reaching its climax with just 5 more minutes left. Isagi starts to move for the ending of the game, and finally Nigeria is looking like an actual team, awakening in the last moments. This chapter contained so much development for the finale of the Nigeria match, so let's jump into it quick. The chapter picks up with Isagi running upfield after stealing the ball, and the announcer shouting out that it's time for Blue Lock's counterattack. Onazi is just staring at Isagi, still fixated on what he said earlier. You know, when he walked across the whole pitch to give the enemy team some advice, or in other words, rage bait Nigeria into awakening. He repeats what Isagi says about curiosity to himself and asks if he can also live like Isagi Yoichi. And peep the game on Isagi, he just got past 2 defenders. So Isagi making quick work of the can't dribble allegations and passes to Bachira while screaming out if that's all Nigeria got. Yo, this guy just doesn't stop. The mid-play trash talk is crazy. This guy right next to Isagi is probably hearing this loud and clear too. He damn near right next to his ear. We see a shocked Onazi because Isagi's next dialogue is him saying if Nigeria wants to become the world's #1, try and surpass Blue Lock. Try and surpass his brain. Nah, Isagi is genuinely insane. Like he's trying to make the enemy team motivated so that he can get stronger. And you know exactly who this sounds like? Noel Noah creating his rivals. You can't tell me they're not the same. And I know half of y'all are gonna be hyped at Isagi trash talking again, and the other half is gonna bring up that he hasn't scored in this game yet and still talking mad. So I'll let y'all hash it out in the comments. Anyways, we see Aiku, and even he calls out Isagi, saying that he's provoking them too much. Ego told them to keep them at 0, so why is he encouraging his opponents who are already down and out? Isagi then responds saying that it can become data, and that if someone awakens, he can experience football he never experienced before. In other words, he's using them for himself. Now, honestly, both sides are right here. You got Aiku, who's trying to follow directions and keep their score at 0, and Isagi, who doesn't care about the score, just about becoming stronger. He tells Aiku that if he can adapt and stop that egoist, wouldn't Blue Lock be able to evolve too? And just look at Aiku's face. This guy's stunned. He got the full revelation that Isagi Yoichi is a greedy egoist who only cares about evolving. And honestly, we gotta give respect because that's the energy we need to become the best. Aiku says that they're still winning even if they score 1 and that there is only 5 minutes left. Yeah, another 10 minutes have passed since the last clock was shown. It's now between their awakening or their adaptability. Isagi then hits the dash saying he leaves the back to you, Captain, and Aiku asks if Isagi is testing him too, saying he got it. And keep this part in mind for later because Aiku hasn't really done much in this match and we haven't seen his 44-day ago training, so I assume this is just foreshadowing for that. We jump back into the game though, and we see a Nigeria defender shouting to not free up the left side. Bachira is here now, weaving and using his dribbling, telling Ryo to go for another one, chipping it over this guy who you can tell just had 0 comprehension of what just happened. Ryo runs for it and tells Bachira a nice pass, but out of nowhere, a Boabona headers the ball away, saying that's the 3rd time. And I gotta give props when props are due. Boabona has been doing a good job stealing possession and whatnot. He even got Ryo shocked in the back. Bachira is surprised that Boabona read them, and he shouts out for the 2nd ball, and you can just tell bro is angry. He got the eye veins popping and everything. Like he pulled out the Dragon Ball Crash Out scream for this one. The ball goes towards Karasu and Kuso though, and he says, as if I'd let you, Mr. Ordinary, and Kuso says it's over here. So now we got a Karasu versus Kuso 1v1, and I can't believe my eyes because Kuso has stolen the ball away from Karasu. I don't even think Karasu can believe his eyes too, because the only thing he's done for the past 10 chapters is make a shocked face and just disappoint. I'ma be honest, folks, I'm a little sad that the Kuso slander can't continue because now he's actually doing something, but at least he's finally back to form like from the first chapter where, you know, he was actually doing something besides glazing Isagi and being surprised. Onazi shouts out nice Kuso, and Kuso starts an inner monologue saying that Onazi has given them the hope to live known as winning the World Cup. And for like the 3rd time, we get another Nigeria flashback. 3rd time's gotta be the charm, right? There's no way 3 flashbacks can't get them a single goal. He starts off that being with Onazi is fun and like a dream. However, we see Kuso doing research and he tells Onazi that their recent data shows that there hasn't been much variation in their attacking patterns. Kuso with the Yukimiya glasses, he looking clean, I can't deny that, tells Onazi that while they are winning, their scoring is slowly dwindling. There's a high possibility that they'd eventually reach a deadlock when the other countries hit us with their tactics. And y'all, am I hearing this right? Kuso literally predicted that the events of the Japan versus Nigeria match would happen because they're relying on Onazi too hard, and it came back to haunt them. So Kuso might have been the genius all along. But now it brings up a new question. If we know that relying on Onazi is bad, then why are we still doing it? Which gets answered because Kuso proposes that they stop putting Onazi as a forward alone and try recruiting a new member, even saying that's what the coach suggested. I'm surprised that this coach, who let Onazi do his job during halftime and Isagi do a better job than him during the match, even suggested anything in the first place. I thought this clipboard was a decoration. Onazi's response to Kuso, though, is him immediately asking what's going to happen to him, though. What about a Boabona or Bello? And Kuso says that that's what a battle is. It comes with a competition for the regular spots. He adds that they've simply arrived at the point where they can't stay as they are, but Onazi cuts him off saying no, he doesn't want to play football without them. He then explains that he was lonely, he was saved by them, by all of them, and he wants to repay them who's become his family. He wants to bring them to the World Cup and win together. That's why they won't change the way they play. They don't need other players. And he says the thing, dropping his signature line, "I'm here." And although this is wholesome as hell, isn't Onazi sneak dissing them? Like, they could still play together on the same team. They just gotta win their spots as regulars. It's kind of funny, like Onazi, in other words, is saying, you guys are gonna get replaced, but I want to play with y'all, so we're not gonna recruit better players. I'm gonna just carry y'all and we're good. I get it's the whole family thing, but like, damn, bro, we could try new things. He's already assuming we're gonna get replaced. Like, no faith at all. Anyways, Kuso is just shocked at what Onazi is saying because what else is new? And he says that sentiment makes him so happy to hear, but that choice, wouldn't it kill off his possibilities? Which ties in with the whole theme of this match for Nigeria. They have good reasons to stick together as family, following in the wise words of Dom Toretto, but they can only go so far, so it might come back to bite them, and obviously it did during this match. The flashback ends though, and as Kuso makes his way up, Bello and a Boabona are telling him to go, while Kuso talks about how he couldn't say anything because of Onazi's kindness, and that their purpose had shifted from winning the World Cup to being together. But now, it's being brought to light because of BLUELOCK, as Karasu, Reo, and Isagi stand in Kuso's way, which gotta be the last thing you want to see when you're trying to make a comeback. However, Kuso corrects himself, saying that no, Isagi Yoichi is the one who brought them to light. And oh my god, the Isagi glaze doesn't stop. Kuso gotta get a reward, bruh. A reward for the #1 Isagi glazer. Like, this one is kind of warranted because Isagi was the one who started giving a Coach Carter pep talk. But I swear, Kuso, every time he dialogues, asks himself how could he make it about Isagi. And that's the funniest thing in the world to me. Onazi asks for a pass, and Kuso says right here, at the hottest place in the world, he must leave them behind or they'll never advance. And I mean, props to Kuso for at least saying he's holding back Onazi. He starts running up, and now his game face is on, saying that BLUELOCK has incited the ego that isn't for their sake, but for solely Onazi. And we see Kuso weave Karasu and nutmeg Reo quick. Yo, what? Am I seeing this correctly? This cannot be the same guy who lost to like every BLUELOCKer earlier in the game and kept making a shocked face. Where was this at the start of the game when we needed it the most? I guess Isagi was damn right about their evolution, so round of applause to Isagi, and I guess Kuso for showing up at the last 5 minutes of the game. Karasu asks if Kuso snapped, and Raichi appears saying defend with your all, as he hits a Randy Orton special on Kuso, slamming into him, and this impact right here gotta be breaking one of their bones, I swear. Kuso, though, starts dialoguing that our dream as a family may end here, but even so, he wants to see the view of him taking on the world. as he passes the ball off of Araichi's tackle and gets it past Ryu. He literally waited until the final zone to start playing, but by now there is like zero chance you're winning. We needed this so long ago, man. I feel like this is half a bad look on Raichi too. I know a lot of people had high hopes for him since he got subbed on, and even Nico managed to stop Kuso. So for Raichi with his physique, not being able to is a little disappointing. But keep in mind, Kuso is awakening and also hit the pass while still getting tackled. I mean, this is a great feat and all, and I applaud you, but I still don't think it makes up for the first half performance. We were putting up the 007 numbers, 0 goals, 0 assists, 7 glazes on Isagi. Anyways, we see the pass zoom to Onazi, but standing there is Aiku like the Grim Reaper. So now it's a 1v1 between Onazi and Aiku. Also, keep in mind, Isagi with Metavision eyes was just here. In fact, a few pages ago, he was right next to Onazi, so he might pop up soon like the Mystic Man. Over the last page, Kuso dialogues that the light that lived within him, obviously talking about Onazi, reach the world with a single strike as his aura eyes appear and the chapter ends off there. Finally, Nigeria is actually a competent team. It took the whole game of dilly-dallying to lock in, but now it seems like there's a possibility of them scoring. I will say though, I love the development we've seen in this match. I know a lot of people have had their complaints about this match being boring, but Kaneshiro has done a really good job at explaining Nigeria's whole philosophy. You had the boys believing in Onazi for so long, and then they accomplished a lot like becoming the AFCON champions, so they don't have any reason to not believe in him. On top of that, Onazi's kindness is also there, so it makes a lot of sense of why they thought they would be fine. However, on the big stage, it's coming back to haunt them, even when Kuso predicted it in the past, so I think it's very well written, but at the same time, a little comedic because they can still become better together. The chapter was building up to this whole thing that Onazi needs to leave them in order to improve, which could be true, but also the others just need to do their best to stay on the team and improve alongside him, just like how BLUELOCK does it. It's easier said than done though, and it seems like Kaneshiro really wanted to set up this whole Onazi as an egoist thing, with him chasing the chain on his volume cover and him wanting to become the world's best striker. So going into the next chapter, which is titled Afterglow, it's setting up Onazi versus Aiku, and I think there's actually a few possibilities here. The first one being the most obvious one is Onazi scores the goal here. Afterglow sounds a lot like an Onazi chapter because his whole character is about being the light for Nigeria. Also keep in mind this volume just started, so we need to get to the halfway point at least to end the game and end the volume on a cliffhanger for the France match. So if it ended too early, we wouldn't be able to fill in those chapters, if that makes sense. And that's why I think if Onazi scores a goal and then maybe Isagi scores a goal, that would make a lot of sense for a prediction. However, we had a lot of context clues for Aiku maybe blocking Onazi here. Aiku was talking about their awakenings versus their adaptability, and with Isagi saying, "I leave the back to you, Captain," earlier in this chapter, it's like Isagi trusts him to defend. We saw Isagi towards the back, but it might play out where he trusts Aiku is going to win against the awakened Onazi. He gets the ball, moves upfield with Corona, and scores a goal. So it was because Onazi awakened that Aiku awakened as well, and then we get his training flashback, all those different things. Somehow Isagi ends up getting the ball, and then Isagi moves upfield with Corona. I mean, Corona was subbed on for a reason, and Planet Hotline can help Isagi easily get up. I do believe that Isagi will score a goal in this game. It's pretty much confirmed. It's just a matter of, will it be a 4-0 goal or will it be a 4-1 goal with Onazi scoring for Nigeria's side? Honestly, I think everyone's just waiting for this game to end since we know they're winning regardless. So I do hope that Isagi scores soon and then we can move on to the other games and whatnot. It's not like I'm not enjoying it. There was a lot of great moments, and I know I repeat it, but constantly I see people every week tell me how they aren't enjoying the game or there isn't too much to talk about. And even as a BLUELOCK creator, it's even hard to make content right now regarding this game, so I can agree to that. It's because we already know they're going to win, so there isn't any crazy theories we can come up with. So really all we can do is just read week by week, unlike the NEL where it was a little unpredictable who was going to score, and we can theorize awakenings and whatnot. I know other BLUELOCK content creators feel the same way too, that we're in a little bit of a drought, but still, I'm enjoying the ride. I love making these videos, interacting with y'all, and just a little appreciation for you guys because y'all have made this possible for me. I would talk a little bit more about Kuso because this was a Kuso-centered chapter, but I feel like I talked about him enough already throughout this review, so that's gonna wrap it up for this video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with everything BLUELOCK related. YouTube really thinks you like this video right here, so be sure to check that one out too. I love y'all so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one.